Golf has always been a delicate sport. The art of shaping, touch and feel are what have shaped the game to what it is. But with tradition always comes a rebel. Someone who's willing to change the game and brutally overpower every golf course that comes his way. May 3rd, 1990. Brooks Koepka was born in West Palm Beach, Florida. Being born into a sporting mad family, Brooks was always going to be successful at something. His great uncle was Dick Groat, a 2-time World Series champion in Major League Baseball, and 8-time All-Star shortstop in the NBA, incredibly successful in both sports. Brooks' father Bob was also a very athletic man. Playing baseball as a pitcher at West Virginia Wesleyan, his passion soon rubbed off on his son. So growing up, Brooks was playing an array of sports. His naturally gifted genes and incredible power saw him playing anything from baseball to contact sports. Brooks' parents were hard-working people and sometimes needed a little help with Brooks and his little brother Chase. Bob and Denise decided to hire a babysitter just to make things a little easier. At the tender age of 10, Brooks and his little brother were being driven home by their babysitter when their car was struck at an intersection. Everybody survived, but Brooks had suffered some pretty severe facial injuries. He fractured his nose and sinus cavity and was told by doctors he was banned from playing any contact sports for the foreseeable future. So just like that, age 10, a boy's dreams were crushed. With the guilt resting on his parents' heads, they decided to join the boys at Okehili Golf Course. The course was the first in the area that wasn't private, was cheap enough, and had a junior program for the boys to join. With the boys' newfound love for sport reactivated and his parents now free of any worry, the family were now back in a happy mindset. Bob and Denise would drop the boys off at 8 AM and pick them back up again at night. So with only one sport to focus on now, Brooks' progression was rapid. He practiced every day and never took any of it for granted. He never had anything handed to him, and he knew just how hard his parents worked so he could play golf. Sometimes he just had to accept that he wasn't going to be able to play in that junior competition this week because his parents just couldn't afford it. But golf was more to Brooks than just playing in competitions. It was his happy place, a place that he could make friends and have fun. As a junior, Brooks wasn't a standout player. In fact, he hardly ever won. But he knew what he wanted to be, and he was willing to work harder than anybody else. Whatever Brooks was doing was working. By age 13, he ended his father's 5-year club championship record at Sherbrooke Golf and Country Club in Lake Worth, Florida by taking him down in the finals. So after enjoying golf throughout his childhood, but not really being competitive, Brooks flipped a switch. He had a goal to be the best, and a goal to be a pro. He enrolled into Florida State University and began his golf journey. The happy kid who once just wanted to play with his mates now would snap your neck for a chance at birdie. He went on to win 3 events and was a 3-time All-American and even managed to qualify for the 2012 US Open, but failed to make the cut. Even though he didn't make the cut, he still got a taste of what it's like and what it takes to be a professional golfer. So now was the time to turn pro. Perhaps play the Web.com tour or go straight for his PGA Tour card. But not Brooks. Brooks was going to do it his way. In 2012, he travelled to Europe to join the Challenge Tour in a quest to become a more rounded player. His idea was to learn different shots. A lot like a chef would travel to different countries to learn different recipes. Life was tough though. Alone in a different continent, trying to find his way. Things got hard, and Brooks was wondering whether he made the right decision. He contemplated leaving back to the US days before he got his first win on the Challenge Tour. From here is where the ball really started to roll. He'd proven to himself he can overcome the toughest of challenges, and doing it by himself was even more rewarding. So Brooks stayed in Europe, and it was definitely the right decision. It wasn't long before win number 2 arrived. He won the Montecchio Open in Italy, and a month later won the Challenge d'Espagne. So the player we all see today was moulded and sculpted in the lower leagues of Europe. But with those wins on his resume, he was granted a full European Tour card for the remainder of the season and for the full 2014 season. So Brooks wasn't a little league player anymore. He'd made his mark and was now looking at crossing the pond and making a dent in the PGA. In his first event on home soil, Koepka led after the 2nd and 3rd round at the Fries.com Open before finishing a very respectable 3rd. That finish qualified him for the US Open, where people were still finding out about his name. But his name would soon be heard from the hills after a 4th place finish, which earned him his PGA Tour card for the 2014 and 2015 seasons, and his first Masters invitation. To top his year off, Brooks finished 15th at the PGA Championship and was awarded the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year award. So after being away from Europe for a short while and testing out everything he had learned, it was time to pay some respect to the place that he had learnt his trade. He started off by winning the Turkish Airlines Open and then had top 10s in the Dubai Desert Classic, Omega Masters and Alfred Dunhill Links. He finished the year 8th in the Race to Dubai rankings, and his loyalty didn't go unnoticed. After an incredible first year, he was named the European Tour's Sir Henry Cotton's Rookie of the Year. So the plan had worked, but the dream was always to play on the PGA Tour. He terminated his European Tour membership and began life in America. Brooks didn't even have time to think whether he was doing the right thing or not. In February, Brooks won his first PGA Tour event at the infamous Waste Management Phoenix Open, and with that win, he catapulted up the rankings into 19th place. His first full year on tour started off pretty rocky. He either missed the cut or was in the top 50. So going into that year's US Open, nobody, including Brooks, thought he had a chance. It was the first US Open at Erin Hills, and the course was playing extremely long. But distance wasn't the key on the first day, as Ricky Fowler took the lead on day 1 with Brooks in a tie for 4th, 2 shots back. Day 2 was a day for the English, with Tommy Fleetwood and Paul Casey taking charge. On moving day, Brooks shot a respectable 68 but was pipped by Brian Harman's 67, taking the lead going into the final round. So the final day was set to be a great one, with everybody in line to take the win. But on the day there was only one man for the job. Brooks shot an incredible 67 to take his total to 16 under and win by 4 strokes. His total tied Rory McIlroy's tournament record, and Brooks Koepka was now a major champion. 2018 started off pretty much the same as the last, but this time there was an injury involved. Brooks had to undergo wrist surgery and wasn't fit enough for the 2018 Masters and had to withdraw. He recovered just in time to defend his US Open title at Shinnecock Hills. It was one of the toughest US Opens in history, with high scoring everywhere. Brooks was the eventual winner with a total winning score of 1 over par. He was the first player since Curtis Strange in 1989 to win consecutive US Open titles. 2 months, a missed cut, and a top 5 finish later, Brooks entered the 100th PGA Championship at the Bellerive Country Club. Brooks was nowhere to be seen after day 1, but charged up the leaderboard after a 63 on day 2. Brooks then shot another fantastic round of 66 to go into a 2-shot lead for the final day, with plenty of big names behind him waiting to pounce. Brooks duplicated his Saturday score of 66 to win by 2 strokes, setting a new tournament record of 16 under par. The only person to pounce was Tiger himself. Woods fired a 64 in the best final round of his career in a major, but it just wasn't enough. Koepka became the 5th American player to win 3 majors before the age of 29, joining Jack Nicklaus, Jordan Spieth, Tom Watson, and of course, Tiger. So with the new crowned name of Mr. Major, it really did seem like Brooks only showed up for the majors. In an interview, Brooks even admitted the sad truth himself. It's tough to focus. Like, I'm going to be flat out honest. I can't focus. A major, I get excited and I feel stuff on the first tee. I just struggle to do that in regular events. The focus and the discipline is there in a major, where it's not here. But Brooks would prove himself wrong at the CJ Cup, topping the leaderboard by 4 strokes, and in doing so topping the world rankings. Koepka had done it. He had reached the highest point possible in golf. 3-time major winner, world number 1, and all doing so with severe injuries. But for the first time in his PGA Tour career, Brooks did look like he was enjoying his golf. Headed into the PGA Championship at Bethpage Black, he did string a bit of form together. Given the length of the course, long hitters were expected to go well, and well they did. Brooks managed to fight off Dustin Johnson to defend his title. By doing so, he became the first player to successfully defend both the PGA Championship and the US Open in a career, and became the 4th player to successfully defend 2 different majors in a career. At age 29, he became the only player currently under 30 to win at least 4 majors. But after reaching the peak, things would start to decline for Brooks. He was plagued with injuries the next few years, constantly having to withdraw from competitions with hip and knee injuries, and the love was starting to fizzle out. He was getting into feuds with players and really feeling like he wasn't respected on tour enough. He had the same amount of majors as Rory, but he felt like he wasn't getting any credit. He mentioned on podcasts his frustration with golf and how he hates the rules, the dress code, and that he only really plays golf to make a living. And if he could go back to the start, he'd play baseball. So at a point in a man's life when he is at his lowest, frustrated with his body and out of love with the game, a $150 million deal to do the exact same thing is a pretty simple decision. Brooks joined the LIV Golf movement and did so with no remorse. But for a man with constant injuries and only wanted to show up for majors, it seemed like a good choice. With the decision, Brooks ended his professional record with 8 PGA Tour victories. He still has access to play in majors, but I just don't see him performing in them. When the love has fizzled out and money is no option, there's no need for the heart to go on. From a boy who just loved the game of golf, and goals were to play on the PGA Tour, he got lost and hurt along the way, and sadly, ends his legacy.